Well, Percenters, welcome back. Coach Tommy. JJ Redick dissects one of the most stacked MVP races of all time. One of my old favorite players.
71 points.
Now he's pretty good at media, but I've kind of noticed he's changing over time. I mean, we all change over time. He's getting a little bit more polarizing. So am I. Do it for the clicks. Yeah, right.
It's first player ever with 70 points and over 10 assists in a game. Second most total points. 99 points he was accounted for when you count points and assists. That's second all time to Will Chamberlain's 100-point game. Will, by the way, this is what's shocking to me. He dropped 100. He only had 2 assists. He only had 2 assists in this game.
That is crazy. So
I didn't even realize that until I saw that stat this morning.
So Donovan wasn't that
Donovan
far
Mitchell.
off
from having the most creating the most points ever in NBA.
If it had gone
That's how iconic.
If it had gone to double,
oh god, you can make stats for whatever.
We spend the first 30 minutes of this conversation.
Luka had a 60-point, 10 assist game. That's got to count for at least 80-some points.
Talking about this, what is happening in the NBA right now? Luka going crazy. Bron at 38, back-to-back 40 balls. Klay Thompson had 54 last night. Joel Embiid had the most casual 42-13 game ever against a really good team in the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
The level of high performance right now amongst NBA players is insane. And Donovan.
Offense. You can always train offense. I've been saying this forever. Offense is always ahead, and defense is always a lagging measure. So if the referees don't change the way they referee stuff, it's only going to get worse.
Mitchell, by the way,
or better offensively.
His performance, I probably takes the cake. It's one of the greatest games of all time. Where do you think he ranks in terms of being a real MVP candidate?
Zero.
I mean, he has to be in the conversation.
Never.
He's in the conversation.
He has to be in the conversation. I don't know. We have the odds, the draft odds in front of us right now. I don't know necessarily that he is in the
he wouldn't be top five
just because of how stacked the top 5 is. I mean, the other guy who's in this conversation besides
off
Luka,
the top of my head, you got to go Luka, Tatum, Giannis, and Joker, right? That's the top 4.
I'd say the top 7 are stacked.
Embiid, maybe.
But the other guy that we have to talk about, we talked about a lot on Monday's episode, is KD.
I didn't even mention KD.
These guys are not.
He's never gonna win it because people think he's a snake.
So much of the MVP conversation is centered around how a team is playing, and because Luka carries such a high usage rate and is required to do so much creation, he's hovered at or near the top of the MVP odds since they opened. He started with the second, or the tied.
If you do more, it just looks better.
Since the MVP odds opened back in May for this season, he's currently number 1. KD has moved now into the top 5. Tatum is second, Jokic third, Giannis 4th, Kevin Durant having an all-time season 5th, Joel Embiid.
The only reason this stuff comes up every time is just like there's no criteria. If you actually set a criteria, then people can actually judge it objectively. But since it's subjective, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. How much do you weight, team success, individual success, pure acknowledgement or accolades, tough buckets, highlight level stuff? It's all subjective.
6th, Ja Morant 7th, then Donovan Mitchell, and then Zion and Steph. Both of those guys are hurt. Zion got hurt last night after having 26 on 10 of 12 shooting. Like what?
Ja Morant's ahead of Spider.
It's incredible.
And Donovan started the season at plus 8,000.
Yep.
Now he's up to plus 2,800. I wanted to say before we get back to top 5 in Raptor right now.
Yes.
Joker, Luka, KD, Donovan is now joined the conversation.
You looked it up this morning.
Anthony Davis.
That's just hype. They just moved him.
But Donovan was not in the conversation.
Anthony Davis for MVP.
Now he is. I have a question for you about
That's
this.
great.
I just want to acknowledge something, Tommy. I'm so proud of you.
Where's all my Laker haters?
Podcasting in 20.
Say I'm an 80 hater.
20. January 2020. So it's been 3 years of podcasting.
And I did that. I also did that video on Zion and the physics and everything and how his mechanics are terrible and he's hurt again.
And if you had told me 3 years
Y'all
ago
just
that I would
telling
be
me I'm
citing
hating.
Raptor every single.
I love watching
all
them.
the time
Every
now.
single day.
You're
I
very
think
comfortable. You realize you understand what defensive rating and
I
offensive
think
rating. It's like I'm so proud of you, man.
I think that
it's fucking awesome.
I think that it is helpful. I think that everyone who watches and listens to the show should pay attention to it. I have a question about a guy on this list.
Yeah.
Who I think is being undervalued a little bit, even though he is in the top 6 right now, and that's Joel.
Yeah.
Is that he's somebody, they are 8-2 in their last 10. We've talked about them. We talked about them last week about since they've gotten healthy, and they're not fully healthy. Maxi's not back yet, but since they've gotten healthy, how this is a unit of a team, and we kind of don't know what their
Embiid's not a. I don't think
not
he can carry
he
a
should be
team.
the front runner right now because we've talked about these other guys. But is this somebody that still feels undervalued in this conversation because he's having another incredible season? I mean, it
depends on how you look at betting, Tommy.
Yeah.
Because I would say that's a good value if you wanted to bet and you thought Philadelphia 76ers were capable of being a top 2 seed in the East and Joel was going to continue this play because he's a plus 1100 right now. Luka on the other side as the front runner is at a plus 260. We
Joker
talk about this
plus
with Fred,
1100. I guess that's a good bet.
You guys will hear that conversation in a second.
Bet low risk, high reward, guys.
MVP should be tied to winning. Jokic last year, Westbrook when he won in OKC, both of those teams were 6th place. But generally speaking, you need to be in that sort of top 2 to 3 range. And if one team,
if Luka's like plus 200 and Joker's plus 1100, the odds don't really factor in team success, do they?
Clearly pulls away, as was the case in, let's say, 2015 with the Warriors. Steph's numbers weren't crazy like they are now, or weren't crazy like they were in 2016 when he won his second one. I think that there's a case. The problem with this year, there's so many guys putting up insane numbers. So I think as we get down to the end, a lot of these.
All the guys are putting up crazy numbers, is something crazy going on, or is this just normal? You have to see somebody separating themselves from the pack. Stop comparing it to a previous season, a previous generation. The season within the season, man. Come on.
Odds will shift a lot.
Yeah.
Because teams, there's so much parity, and teams are going to go on winning streaks, losing streaks, whatever it may be. Do I think Donovan Mitchell has a real chance? Probably not.
Hell no.
Joel has a real chance. Kevin Durant has a real chance.
Joel,
John
no
Durant
way.
has a real chance. If it weren't for injuries, Zion and Steph would have real chances.
Nope, they're done.
And then the other guys, Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, Durant, like they're front runners for sure.
Do you think voters are affected at all?
Luka,
by
KD, Tatum, freak,
specific
Joker.
high profile flashy moments? So like Luka's 60, not just the 60, 21, and 10, but how they won that game.
Oh, memorable or a talking point or something like that.
Is that the kind of thing that will be seared in their brain, or they're just more looking
you gotta have
at
a
the
memorable moment,
landscape of
game,
the numbers?
talking point.
It's a good
Tense
question,
poll.
Tommy. I think because there's 82 games and not 12, it doesn't. I remember growing up and always hearing about the Heisman and like having a Heisman moment.
Yeah.
A big game
Like a
in
400-yard
week 9,
rushing
whatever.
performance,
Whatever it may be. Like, I don't think they're necessarily swayed by that. I will say that I think that's what Joel didn't necessarily have last year, was like multiple MVP moments late in the season, because it was so close last year.
Yeah.
And there's already been so many early MVP moments from all these guys.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is it keeps happening.
Yes.
Joel's already had like 3 of them this year, and then it just keeps getting one up.
Yeah.
So we don't know what
If it's getting one up,
the next 3
then
weeks
he's
are gonna
not
look like.
MVP.
And we get into the why of why these moments keep happening with our guest this week, Fred VanVleet. When I throw down on the NBA
Freddie,
action, it's gotta
FEV,
be-
one of my favorite players to watch and study, especially for average type players like me. If you're shorter, below average athleticism, you better go study that kid, because somehow he made it to the league, the best league in the world, being small, undersized, and everything kind of stacked up against him. Until next video, take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better. Peace.